to the RunRX podcast, where we talk about all things running. As many runners know, it's 90% mental. So join Coach Valerie and Coach Caroline as we go through the mental side of running. Hello, and welcome to the RunRX podcast. I'm your host, Coach Caroline, and I'm here with Coach Valerie. Coach, we've been getting some questions about like self-care and rolling. And a lot of people think that they should only be rolling for like a minute or two. And you and I were talking about this recently because I had some pains that I'm still wrestling with. It flares up now and then in my gluteus maximus. And you made the comment that I thought was really profound. You said, you don't go for a 3-minute massage. When we're going to go in and get like self-care done, we go 90 minutes. So should I be like rolling for 90 minutes?
Well, if you have that kind of patience, sorry. Well, no, and it's so true. And you're right. You know, here's a challenge for a lot of people is one, just getting the roller out or using the roller. And so, however, if you have a pain or an injury, you do have to give it some extra attention. And I used to have a chiropractor, and he'd always say, your goal is to not need the roller.
Okay.
And, you know, to feel pain-free is our goal, right? To not feel pain. But unfortunately, usually when we think about our rollers or stretching or whatnot, it's when we're hurting. So we're already kind of compromised. And yeah, if you think about it, if you're only going to spend, and let's be real, what are you willing to spend? And so we try to give people, like in the RunRX program, we give you these self-care demos so that you can spend, because here's the thing, we want you to spend some time with it. So we were teasing about the massage thing, but honestly, if I really want to work on my calves and my hamstrings and my quads, those are really big, large muscle groups. They could take 2 to 3 minutes for each one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then if you've got like extra pain or extra stiffness, then you're going to want to give it a little bit of extra time, kind of like an extra warm up for your run. And then the challenge is like, again, if you put the quality into it, it's not the quantity. Like if you're going to really work on that spot and you're going to spend 5 to 10 minutes, then that's the best part is we kind of like work on it with mindfulness. Like, just like you said, you kind of knew your glute was bugging you. So you took extra time on the glute.
Well, it was really crazy because I had been spending maybe let's say the length of a commercial, so a minute to a minute and a half on it. And then when we were talking about it, I happened to I went ahead and sat on the roller, so it was right on the spot. And then I just kind of sat there and rolled around, and we were talking. The next thing I knew, it was probably 20 or 30 minutes that I had been sitting on it, rolling back and forth and kind of kneading the spot, right? Kind of like a masseuse would, like really trying to get at the spot. And when I got up, it was miraculous. So it was like a massage for me. So that really was a real mind shift for me, that we forget that we use these tools, rollers and balls and things like that, because we can't get to a masseuse, right? Because maybe we don't have time. It's 3:00 in the afternoon, you're in a meeting and your calf's hurting you or something. So really to use it in place of that masseuse that's able to knead that muscle and get to that knot and really release it, right?
Well, it's funny too, like I tell people, you've got to start normalizing self-care, and it needs to be a part of your routine. So if I'm going to stand up and walk out of a room, why not stand in the doorway for a second, put your arms there and open your shoulders and chest? You've been sitting, or leave a roller. My husband works at a home desk. So we have at the desk, the roller balls are always there. He's got that massage gun. And I tell people, like, if you're sitting, these are times you could be doing the self-care. Also, it's the same thing. You don't need to spend 30 minutes in one session. A lot of people do not have that kind of time, but think about if you spent 3 to 5 minutes 3 times a day, all of a sudden, right? This is the same idea. It's just making sure there's some consistency to it. And get in there. Like, a lot of people will say, I've just done nothing. My foot hurts. I got this morning from someone. I have plantar fasciitis, she says, and I'm training for a marathon. and it just hurts. So I'm just going to try to rest off it. And I'm like, well, what kind of self-care are you doing? You are still having to walk and do things. So now if you're going to pull back on running, then let's put more time into that self-care. And
Well,
guys, this is good.
I want to talk about that because like that's what people think. They're like, oh, it's hurt, so I'm not going to touch it. When really,
Right.
in some cases, you need to like break up the fascia, right? You need to get the blood circulating back into
You
that,
need to break up
into
the
that
scar tissue.
scar tissue. Okay.
That's building, because when you have an injury, that's what starts to happen. So we always just call it, you call it a knot. If you've ever had someone work on you, it's very common for someone to go, oh my gosh, I've got a knot in my shoulder. That you feel that. And that knot that's what that is. That's like a protective tissue. It's trying to heal this area that's inflamed. That's why the rollers work so well. And, and again, it's like, if I don't have a roller, then do self-massage, do, anything you can to start working on that area and get full range of motion. So blood flow is healing and movement is healing. So the best part, like I'll say with us, we put we put strength and self-care on the same priority. Skills number one, we want you to be running at the highest level of skill you can run. We want you to run as far as you want, as fast as you want, all that stuff. That's the skill. However, to keep you there, we prioritize both strength and self-care, because the reality is you also want to make sure as you're stretching and rolling and all that, you're also making sure you've got strength in the area. So it's just really nice if you start to balance that. And then time-wise, if you're sitting for 30 minutes watching a show, get your roller out, normalize it. It's okay to sit and be on a foam roller. You don't have to be on your couch.
So can you talk about that feeling that happens? Because there is a definite difference between I've got a knot and it, like I like to say, ooh, it hurts so good. Because, you're like, really, you can feel it kind of releasing. And oh my God, I've hurt something. I've bruised my muscle, or I've sprained it, or God forbid, was basically like, when is it just good pain, like good pain? And when should we think, oh, I should get this checked?
If you can't weight bear is usually, well, I'm not going to diagnose. I'm not a doctor.
Right.
Here's the thing. I mean,
you understand what I'm saying, because I think a lot of people will tend to think, oh, it hurts. I shouldn't touch it.
Yeah. You can always touch it.
Okay.
You can always, I mean, like, honestly, if like really use the massage as an example. If you go to get a massage, usually the places it hurts the most is where you're like, get in there, right?
Right.
So you've got to do that to yourself. Now, because it's yourself, you can actually feel how much pressure can I apply. And that's important, because if you find an area that's bruised, then that's where the area is bruised. That's where the injury is. I am going to let myself kind of massage around that area, roll around the area. If it hurts, go around it, go up the river, go down the river. You want to make sure you're going to keep good blood flow in the area. So if it hurts to really push on it or touch it, like it's bruised basically, then go around that. There's no glory in hurting yourself. So however, if it's just like, oh, my muscles are sore because I did a bunch of running or I did a bunch of leg work, they're just sore. That's kind of we all kind of know that feeling. So when you're rolling and I laugh because I roll my calves and glutes all the time, and I call it kind of crunchy.
Yeah.
And then it goes out, right? And it's the pain is in a sense like that release, right? There's tension, I release. However, there's no physical pain. Like it's not like, oh, it hurts to touch it. And
I guess that's why I wanted to bring it up, is I think that we get afraid to connect, like we've talked about, with our bodies and get in there and feel it and connect with, okay, I know this is good pain. I know that's a bad pain. And when we disconnect from ourselves, that's not good.
Right. And also something like feet, for example, I've had, not like, oh, yay, but I've broken my feet several times as a runner, not too long ago even. I've broken my feet. I've had plantar fasciitis, and I spend 99% of my recovery, because I refuse to go into boots. I do barefoot recovery, and I use my hands. I don't use rollers. I use my fingers, and I work the fascia, and I self-massage my feet, and I do toe crunches. Your feet can take it, and they're so much stronger when they come back. And that's where that's why I get on people. I'm like, I've broken my feet. Don't worry. I'm not telling people to break them. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
you've got to be part of your recovery. And part of it, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of pain, but you rub, using self-massage, you're not creating more injury. It's just be smart. If there's an area that feels really, like for a lot of people, if you've never had a stress fracture, it feels like your shoes are too tight and you take your shoes off and it's still, they feel like they're still on. So that's, if you've ever had that, immediately what I'm saying. Just like if someone's had plantar, they know immediately. You step down in the morning and it feels like somebody, sticking a needle in your foot. So my thing is, that's the acute pain of your body telling you, I am hurt. You getting in there and doing gentle massage and footwork and moving the foot around, you're actually connecting with your own body saying, let's recover. I mean, that sounds a little hooey, doesn't it? But it really actually is the truth.
It is. And that's part of the mental side of running is we want you to kind of get in there, guys. We want you to not be afraid that you're going to hurt yourself more, that whole, it hurts right there. Well, okay, get in there,
Right.
So, and take the time. And I love also the idea of, okay, you don't have 30 minutes to sit down after that meeting, your foot hurts. Okay. So go over to your desk, pop your foot off, try to get your, so if you're working in the office, your coworkers don't see your gnarly feet. I get that, but take the 3 minutes. And then when you get home, do the 20 minutes or whatever.
But don't be afraid. I'm telling you, you can keep a foot roller under your chair and you don't even have to take your socks off. I mean, there's definitely things you can do if you want to do them. Take that time.
Yes, definitely take that time and don't be afraid of it. And don't be afraid to stay on it. Like I said, 30 minutes, my butt was like miraculously better. Okay. And if you like our podcast, we hope you will give us a 5-star review and subscribe, and we will talk to you next week.
Thank you for joining us on the RunRX podcast. If you'd like to know more, join us at www.runrx.fit. And if you have additional questions that you'd like answered on the podcast, email us at support@runrx.fit.